This is just AMZN for Friday, October 16th, 2020. Uh, this candle basically was a big pullback. And I really want to start by talking about this lower wick because I was watching this into the close and thought this would help to clarify what I saw. So jumping down into the 5-minute, I still have the lines in here from the last video I did. So yeah, I was in bearish in here, seg 2R, and I was actually moving my target and submitted it, and what I had set as a target filled, and then the new target was rejected as a sale order. So yeah, that would have been really nice to catch more R's through here. But the price was hovering right around here into the last minute. So this, I mean, this is a 5-minute. I'm going to jump down into a 1-minute. It still doesn't do it justice. So in the last minute, it still looks like it did that. So the only other way I found to actually look at this is if we switch over to a tick chart. I'm going to look at it. So I'm doing this video on a Sunday, so I'll look at 3 days and we'll zoom into what we need to see. So here's the tick chart, and once it settles, it's still loading. There we go. Okay, let me move back. So look at the time frame. It's too slow. There we go. Okay, so there's 3 o'clock where the gray changes. So this is 3 o'clock over here. This is still 2:59 Central. So the price was right up here for like the beginning of that minute, and then it just sank according to the ticks. And so this is what I don't understand with ticks, and maybe I should have researched them more before doing the video. But these look like real prices to me, that it somehow hit these prices somehow. It all happened in the last minute. When I was watching it, it actually happened in the last second of the day. Because yeah, I was just watching it and I was really surprised to see it just flushed lower like this to like, yeah, right down to 3160. And I just talked about a pullback on the daily down to like 3100, that would be a great place to be buying. And so I didn't have a puke order set up down here, but it's possible if somebody did, maybe it got filled. I don't know, but seeing this on the tick chart, like seeing all this, that kind of looks like something real going on there. I think that's the question is, was it really happening? I mean, there's some volume spikes. I think these are volume spikes. Something like that. Is that volume? Yeah, so that's volume. I don't normally look at a tick chart. So if you do and you have some comments, please put the comments in. Okay, so here now we're into a minute prior. And so you can see it was steady, you know, so like it was steady in this part of the 2:58 minute, and here's the 2:59 minute. But let's see if we can get it back a little bit more. There we go. So that that minute was shorter, shorter in terms of the number of ticks, similar to this one, but it was still just selling off into the close like significantly. And so when it spiked down and did this in the last second, I was shocked that that happened. You know, if somebody was thinking that they had like a sold put down here like 3250 or 3200, thinking, okay, we're way up at 32 whatever, 3280, that'll close out of the money. There's no way we'll get down there last second or the last minute. Well, you know, if you're profitable on a put sale, just go ahead and close it out in the last, you know, few minutes or last 15 minutes, because something like this can happen. So I don't know, again, what the effect of this was. I do know that the option I had been in spiked. So I had been in the 3,300 put. I bought at $1, absolute zero, and was moving my target from $3 up to just $4, and it looked like it would have filled in the same like 5-minute span. But that was just trying to, you know, really just take a little bit more profit on this, and yeah, could have held out even more. You know, moving past this pivot on the options, but let me switch back to a 5-minute. when this, let me do this. So it was, Amazon looked like it was bouncing. It looked like this was, a really nice kind of triangle here, breaking out, retested after hours, continued, and then it just pulled back. And it pulled back, again with these lines, it pulled back, way back down here into kind of that same zone. But then it broke through it. It's like, okay, it broke through it. What if it retests? I know this is a little higher than where this line is, um, but I can move it up like this. Like, what if it breaks down and then retests and then continues lower? And that's what it did. It had, a sharp sell off here. Um, and so I bought early over in here somewhere thinking it was going to just roll down. Ended up coming back up. Let me move my line back and let me just extend this to the right. There we go. So that was the really clean retracement right there. That was into that same zone. So sometimes when these lines don't look like they're lining up, just wait a little longer. And this time it did. It came right into that level. Going back to the option, I could have bought it down for like 20 bucks, 25 bucks, 30 bucks, $50. Instead, I spent $100 somewhere over in here. And, it was absolute zero. So I held through that kind of pullback because you got to do that with an absolute zero sometimes. And if it's right into the last couple minutes of the day, normally I'll just exit it for, not a full R loss. So I was thinking, it's like, okay, we still have an hour, even after this, it's like, we still have an hour. This thing could totally roll over. And it did. And that's why I was trying to move my target out. But anyway, yeah, it moved to be at the money right here and then much further into the money because of this. But coming back to the option should have been way more than 30 bucks. $30 would have been the price at 32.70 being in the money. And we were around that price, we were around 32.80 into that minute where I was saying it was kind of steady. I'm sorry, into the last 5 minutes. Let me go back to 1 minute. Okay. So into the last minute here, we're getting close to 32.70. So we're in this area 32.70 into that last minute. And then this spike happened. And if the options had time to react, then this should have spiked to 140 bucks on the option, because this is $140 away from 3,300, the strike that I was at. So, I was just watching this option, what it was doing, excuse me. And this should have spiked way, way higher if the options market had time to respond in the last 5 minutes. But that's what I'm saying. If we look back at the tick chart, it all happened in the last minute. And, really, you got to really pay close attention to what's happening, study the charts, watch the chart for what's happening in the options. If you're going to trade that close to the end of the day, and also take the risk of having something in the money or out of the money, and not being able to exit if you're in something. So you always have to be careful about that, and, learn it as you go. It's something that, having the column, having the piece about what you're going to trade there. That's why I stick with absolute zero, because I don't want to have more than that risk. But you can see as this was moving, I mean, even in the last couple of minutes, it was moving up. We were around 32.80, 32.75. We were in this area, and then it only moved up a little bit more. So that's why it looks like, to me, it looks like, okay, we actually did close up here around 32, was it 32.72.71. So that's why it looks like there's a real close there, because that's where the option ended up closing. But looking at the tick chart, there's actually ticks down here. So I don't know if this wick will change. There's something that was actually transacted at these prices, according to the tick chart, even though it looks like some sort of a flush lower that didn't actually happen on the 5 minute. It was on the last minute. And then I'm telling you, I was watching it happen literally in the last second. And then we can see that on the tick chart. So I don't know if anyone has questions on that or has more answers from what I'm seeing in the tick chart of what happened, why it happened. I think this was the third Friday. Yeah, this was the third Friday of the month. So this was monthly expiration. So there's always more volume going on at this time. So it could have just been orders set to close or whatever was happening to transact, in a monthly position, can cause some more volatility into the close of the day. And I mean, it absolutely did. So if you were looking for a bounce on this to hold any of the levels that we had talked through or seen from the previous day down here, I mean, it hovered through some of these, but then it just kept on going. I thought it was great that, like, if you draw this triangle and put the apex in probably around here, 3307, I mean, it didn't even really, I mean, it sort of bounced there, but this was not strong enough of a apex of this triangle to get a bounce going. We didn't even retrace back up to like that low. And some of these other ones we did. So this low, we retraced over here. This one, like I said, was a tracement back to the, I'm still in 1 minute. That's why I can't. There we go. So this line, this pullback here, after this just looked like it was going to roll down, where we pulled back up to here was retracing back to this pivot, where we were seeing some clear bounces the other day. So now we've rolled over from that and we're below all of this. I still think it's possible that we pull back a bit further. 3,100 would be great if we get lower than that. Still, looking to get into, more position bullish as we go lower, with stops in place, further away. And just look for Amazon to continue to move higher. There's a really big, on the more fundamental side, there's a really big Q4 coming in terms of so many more online sales, things like that. But the other area here is you have some lower wicks over in here around 2,900. So if we do somehow pull back past 3,100 significantly, 2,900 here, and then there's not that much. I mean, there's not too many pivots in the next couple hundred points. I don't know that we'll get down there. I've been wrong before, so we could. But looking back at what we've done here, this just needs to rest a little bit more too. The other thing I was seeing, let me draw that new line in here. It's just kind of like where this is hard to draw because it's not like, this isn't like necessarily a clean triangle up here, but if we connect a couple points like that or close to connect, this just looks like there's a bit of a, there's definitely lower highs going on, but I just wonder if this is more of kind of like a pennant or resting pattern here, or if it's really gone too far down that it's turning into more of a reversal. So that has yet to be seen. And I guess I should connect these two. Connecting these two and extending to the right would be a cleaner way. So, we retrace back up to connecting those two, but you can't just always just draw two, connect two lines and say, oh yeah, it's going to hit it. You need really three to make the trend, to draw the, where that trend is going to go. So I guess what I'm thinking is more so from here. And then if we kind of readjust this, I guess these are still pretty clean, but, take out some of, I guess something like this. This is lower, this is higher, this is kind of splitting the difference of you're getting rid of the wicks and then getting into here. If you just kind of take this kind of approach, we would want to see something go sideways a little more, push back through this and chop. And Amazon knows how to chop sideways. It does it in times like this for like 2 weeks. Way back in here, it was doing it for a couple weeks. Way back when it did it for a couple months through here, or a month and a half, I should say, through here, and then continued. So, there's been so much choppiness. It would not surprise me if it just started to go sideways a little bit more. And people are seeing, hey, we're near all-time highs. There's a lot more volatility coming up, maybe get out of positions. That can happen too. So all that to say, I guess I don't know exactly where it's going, but I just wanted to spend a little bit of time looking at what happened and see if that helps make sense, for the last couple of minutes here and what's shown up in the chart. That is a bit unusual compared to what we've been seeing the number of days past. So Anyway, hope that helps. This is just AMZN. Thanks.